Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for clicking on this presentation. You are the best and you are blessed. Hopefully, I can keep you entertained and unbored while you are enjoying this presentation. So, without further ado, I will get started. The presentation and topic that I will be covering today is bullying. And before I get started, I want to elaborate more on why I chose this topic. Like I said before, the social problem that I have chosen to focus on is bullying and how it affects society as a whole. While bullying is known commonly in the school systems, it is still a high social issue that has, become numb to its existence in our society. Though it is beyond the scope to explain all the possible outcomes of the social issues and aspects of bullying, there will be coverage of why it is a social problem and whom it may be concerned on and its large impact on society. So, what is bullying? Bullying is when one seeks to harm, intimidate, or coerce someone perceived as vulnerable, or a blustering, browbeating person, especially one who is habitually cruel, insulting, or threatening to others who are weaker, smaller, or in some way vulnerable, tormented by the neighborhood bully. These are sources from Google. The issue of bullying goes beyond what one may consider a moment in the life of an individual. It causes not only trauma, but depression and anxiety amongst other traumatic events that build up in the individual's life. Bullying can lead to such psychological effects as low self-esteem, loneliness, and increased potential to lapse into illness. These issues may persist into adulthood. It should be recognized that these mental impacts do not stop at the bullied. They also extend to the bullies. Bullying can also lead to traumatic events that no one should ever obtain in their life, but such actions can do so, such as death of an individual. When bullying becomes so much of an issue that an individual can take their own life from the pain that was caused due to bullying. Also, bullying can lead to death amongst others, such as shootings, which have occurred more recently over the years from the effects of bullying. These are the effects of how powerful bullying can be in a person's life. Bullying also creates the crisis, or it creates a crisis that affects individuals differently, which also promotes more of its issue in society and the impact it can be as a whole. And many may not know what a crisis is, let alone how it affects a person, but bullying is a common issue crisis around the world that has been a part of history as long as one can remember, as stated previously. For readers, bullying should not be of any form of praise and should not be allowed at any point. It is a cruel and dehumanizing to the character of one's being. Bullying is not just a school issue, but also an effect on society as it grows over time, if not handled in the moment or not, being addressed at all. Bullies originate from homes in which there is unforgiving order and absence of warmth. There is a high probability that bullies originate from single parent families with low attachment and that they will, in general, see their kin as being powerful. Bullying affects victims, like the children who bully and even the peers who observe the bullying. In an article, an Australian study showed the bullies tend to be unhappy with school and have a higher prevalence of psychosomatic symptoms than non-bullies. 60% of boys who were identified as bullies by their grade 6 to 9 peers had at least one court conviction by the age of 24 years. This data shows that the start of a problem with those who are bullies. Aggressive children followed to adulthood had increased risk of criminal behavior, spouse abuse, alcoholism, antisocial personality disorder, and other psychiatric disorders, stated by the author in this article. They also mentioned that children who witness bullying have been studied through interviews and observation in the schoolyard. When they were interviewed, observers of the bullying responded that they disliked bullying and would assist the victim in an encounter. When observed on videotape, however, peers spent 25% of their time intervening on behalf of victims. 75% of the time, they reinforced bullies by passively watching 54% of actively modeling bullying behaviors, which was 21%, I'm sorry. The research shows effects that bullying has on people globally and also simply how much of an impact they have on people as a whole. Bullying comes in different forms that also creates a large impact on society and who may be affected by this. Bully has its forms as stated and are handled differently. In the article, it mentions researchers who study bullying have discovered that there is much more to bullying that meets the eye. For instance, many people who believe that bullying only consisted of physical bullying and name calling, but there are actually 6 types of bullying, including everything from excluding and uh, and gossiping about people to making fun of their race or religion. The most known forms of bullying are physical, sexual, cyber, verbal, prejudice, and also relational aggression. Physical bullying is a common form of bullying that usually occurs when children who use physical actions to gain power and control over their targets. Physical bullies tend to be bigger, stronger, and more aggressive than their peers. Examples of physical bullying include kicking, hitting, punching, slapping, shoving, and other physical attacks. Relational aggression is a sneaky and insidious type of bullying that often goes unnoticed by parents and teachers, sometimes referred to as emotional bullying. Relational aggression is a type of social manipulation where tweens and teens try to hurt their peers or sabotage their social standing. As for cyberbullying, it is understood as when a tween or teen uses the internet, a smartphone, or other technology to harass, threaten, embarrass, or target other person, and it is called cyberbullying. If an adult is involved in a harassment, it is called cyber harassment or cyber stalking. Sexual bullying consists of repeated harmful and humiliating actions that are targeting persons sexually. Examples include sexual name calling, crude and rude comments, vulgar gestures, uninvited touching, sexual propositioning, and pornographic materials. A bully might make a crude comment about a peer's appearance, attractiveness, sexual development, or sexual activity. Prejudice bullying is based on prejudices tweens and teens have toward people of different races, religions, or sexual orientation. Verbal bullying uses words, statements, and name calling to gain power and control over a target. All are forms of bullying, as stated before, and as a crisis intervention professional, all situations must be handled differently. The ABC model can be most effective to all forms when helping one in their crisis. The ABC model covers building rapport on the crisis, boils down the problem, and then helps the client with the issue that is going on. When handling a crisis with an individual who has just reported being bullied, the ABC model will be applied differently for the different forms of bullying that had occurred with that individual. When helping a client with who has just been bullied in a physical form, the client being a 15-year-old freshman by the same year student because they are smaller than everyone at school. The helping professionals should intervene by using the steps of this ABC model, by building the rapport on the situation, making sure that the client is feeling comfortable in small gestures of keeping hands along the side of the body. This will show that you are not a threat and show no harm when helping the client. Too much movement of the hands may bring flashbacks of traumatizing events for the client. Also, making sure that you are sitting at the same level of the client will also be greatly appreciated. This will also show less threat to the client, and that you are not showing signs of overpowering the client by standing over them, but are talking in a calm manner and having the client feel safe. As the client explains the situation, it is good that the helping professional repeats what the client has said so that they know that you are listening. After the client has just told the helping professional on why he feels like he is being bullied, the professional should let the client know that they are glad that they are letting someone of authority know who can handle the situation more effectively. The professionals are to report any form of harassment and letting the client know. This would get back to professionals at the school as would allow the client to know that some form of action is being taken into consideration. To conclude, Bullying is a common crisis around the world that has been a part of history as long as one can remember, as stated previously. Bullying should not be of any form of praise and should not be allowed at any point. It is cruel and dehumanizing to the character of one's being. Bullying goes beyond what one may consider a moment in the life of an individual. It causes not only trauma, but depression and anxiety amongst the traumatic events that build up in the individual's life. Bullying can lead to such psychological effects as low self-esteem, loneliness, and increased potential to lapse into illness.